Today I'm going to begin to show you how to lay out and draw in orthographic projection. This page is number 79 from your Unit 10 multi-view drawing packet that was handed out in class or should be downloaded if you're distance learning. You're going to complete these 6 objects in orthographic format. Again, these drawings are on page 79, which is the last page of your packet. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do number 1 here. So what I've done is I've started to shade in and color code what's the front view, top view, and side view. So as I zoom in here, you can start to see that I have gone and identified the front view is shaded in gray. So I'm going to have a rectangle shape blocked out, just like we did for centering the drawing. And then I'm going to add those 2 details. That L shape that you see predominantly in the near plane of the object, and then that small skinny rectangle in the far plane of the object. So on my page, then I will block in those 2 shapes inside a rectangle that I build first. And then I go to the top view, which is shaded in red. The top view now has that similar L shape in the near plane, and then a skinny rectangle shaded in red as the far plane. Again, those 2 shapes will still show up in a rectangle block workspace for the top view. And then for my side view, I went and shaded it in blue. So you can see now I have a third L shape. Seems to be a common trend here. And then a small square in my far. So in this first video, and this is going to be a 3-part series, I'm going to block out and lay out my front, top, and side view. And then I'm going to work on the front view. We're going to add all the details. We're going to darken in solid object. The second video then is going to leave off from the first and add details and block in the top view. And then the third video of the series is going to then wrap up and block in and add details for my side view. So video 1 will take care of the front, shaded in gray. Video 2 will take care of the top view, which is shaded in red. And then again, video 3 is going to take care of the side view, which is shaded in blue. So here we go. So this is going to be done on your template A. And you can see my template A here is all set and ready to go. Now the camera might bounce around here and be blurry, so I do apologize for that in advance, but we'll try to get this as focused as possible here. Let's try that. Okay, so looking at my blueprint here, as I begin to draw in my shape, I'm going to look at my dimensions for the front view. I have my front view is at 4 1/4 wide, and it is 2 3/8 tall. So we have our width and our height in the front view respectively. So we're going to begin to block this out. I'm going to take my ruler, and I want to take the edge of my ruler, as you can see down here, and I'm putting the edge of my ruler on the edge of the paper. I want to have good straight lines, trying to maintain parallel as much as we can. I'm going to draw in a long, light construction line. Now I'm going to draw my construction lines a little bit darker so you can see them on the screen. And then I'm going to then run my ruler up to the very top edge of my sheet of paper, as you see here. Slide this up back into the screen, and I'm going to work off of this line here and do a long vertical construction line. So now where the pencil is pointing to is where my object is going to start. So this corner that the pencil is pointing to corresponds with this corner here of the drawing. So we're starting on this corner. So from that corner, I'm going to measure over 4 1/4. I'm going to measure up 2 3/8, and I'm going to build that block. So again, this is very similar to centering the drawing. Centering the drawing, as we discussed, is the front view. So you've had practice. So here we go. So I'm going to measure over from that edge of vertical edge of 4 1/4. Make very light marks. I'm going to connect those marks, and I'm actually going to run my construction line from that bottom vertical all the way up to almost touching the top of the template. Because remember, as we've discussed and shown on the last 2 PowerPoints, the width of the front view is going to be the same width of the top view. So there's my 4 1/4. I'm now going to measure up 2 3/8. Small mark here. And now I'm going to connect those 2 lines. And I'm going to now pull that construction line over here to the side view. Now that's going to leave your screen, but I'm just pulling it over to the right of template A. So now as you see on your screen, here's my box, that rectangular block that I've laid out now of 4 1/4 by 2 3/8. So now I'm going to start to add in my details. Looking at blueprint now, I have to add in this little notched section here. So looking at my blueprint, that comes over 1 1/2 from this left edge. So I'm going to measure from my left edge over 1 1/2. Light measurement here. Oh, I measured that incorrectly. So again, that's why you always want to double check our measurements. And if you do make mistakes, double check them before you block them in. So I'm going to connect those 2. I'm going to make a long construction line. Again, I want to transfer this line all the way up to my top view. What I'm doing here is I'm starting to add in details and views I haven't yet created, which is going to save me drawing time. So now that I've measured correctly, from left edge to this detail is 1 1/2. The last piece I need to add in here is this small rectangle. Well, I know the small rectangle here on this far plane is at 1 1/2. I now need to figure out what its height is. Over here, it tells me it comes down 3/4. So I'm going to measure from this upper right corner of the front view rectangle, and I'm just going to come down 3/4. What you're going to find out here is that the blueprints don't give you all dimensions possible. They give you just enough to complete the drawing. The less information and numbers that they put on these blueprints, the easier it is to read. It's less confusing. So as I line those 2 marks, I'm going to drag that off of your screen and put it into the side view. So if you can see here, I now have in this L shape and now that rectangle. So if I bring back in what I shaded, you can now see the L shape and that rectangle. So those are all my details. So now at this time, I would have you then go back and remeasure and double check before you add in your solid object lines. I'm not going to double check my measurements, so I'm just going to draw this and lay this out for you. So I'm going to start with all my vertical lines. I'm going to start and stop on my construction lines, darken them in heavy and dark. I'm using mechanical pencil, so I have to go over my lines a few times because mechanical pencil lead doesn't darken as nice as a typical number 2 wooden pencil would. Yet use whatever drawing tool you have available for you. So as you can see now, my solid object lines are nice and dark. Making sure I have good sharp corners, no overruns, no open sections. And if you notice, I'm picking up my ruler. I don't want to drag the ruler because then it leaves smudges and smears. Neatness is very critical in the drafting format. As I get closer to the ends of my lines, I slow way down to make sure I don't have any overruns. Pick up my ruler again. Run right over my construction lines to make them heavy and dark. You would do the same thing on all of your drawings, whether it would be a solid object line, a hidden, or a center line. on this set of 6 drawings, there are no hidden and there are no center lines. So this is what your front view is going to look like when it's complete, blocked in at its correct measurements, using construction lines, double checking your measurements, and then adding in your solid object lines nice and dark. And if I just sneak my blueprint back in here a little bit, we can see again here is that L shape in the near, matches what I shaded here in gray for my near, and then the skinny rectangle, and you only see part of it, is the same as the skinny rectangle here in the far. So this is the front view for orthographic projection number 1. So at this time, complete the front view. When it's done, go on to the second video, which is going to be part 2. The part 2 video is going to show you how to begin then to lay out the top view here. And you can see I have some of this started already. My top view is going to now be what I have here shaded in red. So I'm going to block in and build this L shape, shaded in red, as my near, and then this rectangle here, which is set in my far. So we'll see you in the next video to lay out and block in the top view.